skills are deplorable. I can barely balance our check. I said, well, I'm not qualified. They said, no, you're qualified. Just go out. So I met with the divisional sales manager who ran the office for Ampex. By the way, Ampex was a multi-industrial provider, or a corporation that provided a number of things. They invented the instant replay. They invented or reinvented magnetic tape and video and audio equipment, instrumentation equipment. And they had huge contracts with NASA and the military. I sat down after filling out the application, leaving practically half of it blank. And this man was looking at me and he was asking me questions that weren't really applicable to engineering. He said, I'll give you a call in a day or two. He said, and then we need to test you. You'll see our company psychologist first. And then if you make it through that testing, you're going to see our company psychiatrist. And if you make it through that testing, you're going to see a government psychologist and a government psychiatrist. This went on for almost 4 months. And there were over 200 other people that applied for that job that were highly qualified. And I seemed to be the only one. I was given the job. And they were actually paying me for taking my days off. They told me, they said, what are you making on your 2 jobs? So I'm going to lose those 2 jobs. So they were actually paying me to go in and be tested day after day after day. As many as 4 days a week, just going through batteries of written tests. They had nothing to do with engineering. They had something to do with the way I thought. It appeared to me they were looking for something, or someone, who had the capacity to keep their mouth shut. After getting through the first two rounds, I got through the next rounds, and then the fellow that was the divisional manager called me in. He said, "You're hired." I went from earning about $4,500 a year to earning almost $18,000 a year, and I was given a brand new automobile, and I had nothing to do. And then one day, they called me, and my boss called me in, and he said, "You're going to be going to Washington. He said, you've got to undergo some training." He said, "You won't be in Washington. You'll be in the state of Maryland, and you'll be in the state of Virginia." I went through exhaustive training. If any of you have seen the movie The Recruit, they'll give you some basic idea of what I went through. I was well prepared to become an active part of the intelligence community, working in espionage and counterintelligence. I was not to glamorize my job, I was a bag man, literally, for taking file, films, and tapes from places like the Yerkes Primate Center in Atlanta. They have another one in Denver. From Sanford Research Institute, Berkeley campus. Mental institutions, both federal, state, and even county. And federal and state prisons. I worked only to ensure that the filed films and tape and the ones who were there were not speaking of anything that they saw or anything that they did. What I saw was 100% benevolent. And one of the doctors that I later worked with at NASA, he pulled me off to the side. He said, "Mark," he said, "isn't this the most exciting thing you've ever seen?" I said, "Yes, it is." He said, "We're taking people with brain damage. We're taking incorrigible killers, rapists. We're turning these people into citizens who can actually be a contributing member of society. People that haven't lost their ability for emotional normalcy. They can love, they can cry, they can feel, but they do not have the problems that they had before they went into these programs." I did not see any torture. None. I didn't see any food deprivation, water deprivation. I didn't see any electroshock except for very mild stuff that, you could probably get going across your rug. I didn't see anything at all. And a lot of my work was associated with training apes push buttons in case we had a problem like the Soviet Union had with the rocket blowing up and losing astronauts. They were going to use apes. That's like training a 5-year-old to fly an F-16. I couldn't imagine it working, and none of the scientists really did. I mean, we had apes that could speak, they had an enormous dialect as far as using sign language. But as far as functioning in an environment where they had to do certain things upon command remotely, I doubted very seriously that would work. So I was being exposed to a lot of mind control research in a super secret project that I had only heard the name rumored, and that was MKULTRA. The MKULTRA program began in earnest in 1952, and we offer a disc out there. This goes from 1952 to 1987. You can't get it anymore. It's been reclassified. That's the silliest thing. This looks like we're covering gently. They released this thing for a short time. The CIA did. There's 17,000 files, 35,000 pages, and it goes into a great number of the CIA's projects working with mind control. Now, for something that Cathy and I were not even allowed to use the word mind control, we'd say behavioral modification, mind manipulation, or brainwashing. But to even say the word mind control in court, we were prohibited. Or even before some of the physicians, because the physicians and the law enforcement groups were the first ones that invited us in to speak. And they actually we were working and teaching them to identify people who had been programming, drug runners primarily. We were teaching border guards. Now the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, because here we are, whistleblowers, and we are training federal officers and some state to identify mind control victims. But the rest of this story, not to jump around, the rest of the story is that in the mid-80s, I decided I'd had enough. I'd learned too much, because in 1974, when I got tired of watching